I'm Gavin from Spitfire Engineering. In today's video, we're going to talk about our Raptor trommels. So we've already done a video on our deck screens that explains all the pros and cons of the deck screens, and in that video we mentioned our trommels. This is our new machine, which is our Raptor 2014 MT. Raptor, all of our trommels are Raptors. It's the brand name for our trommels, and the numbers denote. So we've got a 2 metre long drum, and it's 1.4 metres in diameter. And the MT is mobile trommel. So we're 2 metres long, 1.4 metres in diameter, mobile trommel, which is exactly what this machine is. Now, all of our trommels are built very similar to each other. We use the same principle of the chain-driven drum sitting on 4 independent wheels with the 5th wheel under the front to keep the drum in line. This one has got an in-feed in it. Some of our other trommels have got in-feeds as well. It's only the Mini Raptor that is just a standalone trommel that doesn't have an in-feed, but it does have an in-feed chute into it. So the main advantages of a trommel are, if you've got a sticky material, for instance, this machine is going to an application where the material is wet soil, it's clumped together, there's some oversize in it. The customer for this machine has already got a mini screen, so he's already got a deck screen, and now he wants to break the material up, and then this machine coming out the discharge conveyor at the far end will actually feed. It's high enough because it's on jack legs here, hydraulic jack legs. This will lift up high enough to feed a mini screen. So he's going to use this to break the material up before he feeds it onto a deck screen. Now, you don't necessarily have to feed it onto a deck screen. You could actually use this as a standalone machine for breaking material up. It's just this particular customer's got his application where he wants to just segregate the material sizes down that little bit smaller. But we would, like I say, we would use this to break the material up if it's wet and sticky, and it still does the same job. It separates big from small, no different to the deck screen, just in a slightly different way. So with a trommel, you can either have bolt-in punch plates, which is what we've got here. This is flat plate that's been profiled in-house on our CNC plasma. You can either have bolt-in punch plates, which are good if you've got more of a larger materials like hardcore, stone, that sort of thing. You'd probably put punch plates in because they're a bit more harder wearing than woven mesh. Or you can also have woven mesh, very similar to the material to the deck screens. We can also put that same type of screening media in these drums. Now, as I say, the drums sit on 4 wheels. You've got a wheel there, same the other side. So this drum actually sits on 4 wheels, and then you can't quite see it, but there is another wheel at the front which sits vertically, and this ring here, the wheel actually sits vertically on this wheel to stop the drum from coming down the machine. It just keeps everything in line. Now, we chain drive our drums because it's a more positive drive. Some people have powered drum wheels. We don't do that because if they get wet, get any sort of dirt on there, a bit grease or whatever it is, those wheels will slip. So we've always chain driven our drums. We've got an electric motor and gearbox in here that takes care of the drive, and also the chains have got an auto tension on as well. So as the chain wears over time, the auto adjuster adjusts, so it's constantly keeping the chain tight. So this is the inside of the drum on this machine. We can probably go as low as 2 mil on a woven mesh wire up to whatever size you want. Now you can have round, you can have square, you can have diamond, different shapes in your punch plates, but with a woven mesh it's generally square, and you could go up to 100 mil if you wanted. So you can do a whole different range of sizes for these machines. So these bars here, they actually lift the material. They're designed to lift the material. Some other manufacturers don't put lifters or bars in there. It's just a smooth drum, and some material just skids around in the bottom and just transports itself from one end of the drum to the other and falls out. It doesn't actually do what it's supposed to do. These are designed to separate big from small. Okay, so on the in-feed inside, obviously the material is loaded at the top, at the other end of the machine, falls into the hopper, and that belt there, the in-feed belt there, conveys the material from the hopper, and it brings it along and discharges it into the drum. Now we've got what we call the firewall at the end, that stops the material from going back the other way, because the end of the drum is open, so it stops the material from going back that way, keeps the material in the drum. We've also got a cleaning brush on the bottom of the infeed belt that keeps the belt clean and stops the material sticking to the belt and getting carried over and brought back round. So in here, it's actually quite heavy duty. It's designed to take material in that end and make sure material comes out this end. The control panel on this machine is really easy. It's all laid out very logically, so obviously we'd want to turn the fines conveyor on first, followed by the drum, followed by the infeed conveyor, so it's all left to right, no different to if you were reading a book. The starting procedure and the stopping procedure is all on the control panel, so there's no excuses for the operator not to know what he's doing. We've also got the maintenance schedule as well on here, so everything the operator needs is actually listed on the control panel, on the sticker, and all the controls are labelled up, what everything does. It's all self-explanatory on there. The actual access panels for access are all locked off with bolts, which is a CE marking requirement. You can't have panels that are easy to open if there's moving parts inside, so everything is secure, locked away with bolts. You need a spanner to open the panels, but this machine is designed so that this panel, and this panel, they all open on hinges. So it's just 2 bolts and the panel comes straight open. So everything you need to get to for maintenance is easy to get hold of behind the panels. On this particular machine, that it's powered by electrics, and in here we've got a 32 amp socket. So you would run an extension lead from a wall socket or an extension lead from a generator, and you would plug it straight in here. So the actual plug socket, the actual power lead can be disconnected and taken away. So you've got no trailing leads, no leads to try and wrap up and put anywhere. It's really neat and tidy. All you need is an extension lead, plug it in, got your power. And then we've also got on this one, because this is designed to run a mini screen underneath the conveyor belt, we've also got a 16 amp power supply coming off of here. So we power it in here, it goes through the control box, it's got full overload protection inside the control box, and then we power the mini screen off of this socket here. So this is your power supply out that will go off to your mini screen at the back. Also on this machine, we've got hydraulic legs, so it's low for transport, and then we can lift it up. We can actually lift it up 500 mil on its legs into its working position, so you can put a mini screen under the end. There's various different holes in the legs. You don't have to have it at its maximum height if you're not using it with a mini screen. You can have it at various different heights, and these legs are controlled by a hand pump on this hand pump here. So it's dead simple. We have a bar that goes inside here, and then you just pump it up and down by hand. It sounds like hard work, but actually it's really easy. One person could probably have this set up in place, legs up in the air in less than 5 minutes. Okay, so you've probably worked out how this machine works, but if you haven't, this is how it works. You put your material in the top there. That's the in-feed hopper up there. So you tip all your material in there. There's a belt that runs in the bottom of the hopper that then feeds all the material through into the drum. The drum rotates and it breaks the material up. Any of the small parts, they fall through the holes in the drum. Any of the big parts get transported through the drum and fall out onto the floor. The drum sits at a very slight angle, and because of that, every time it goes around, the material gets moved along the drum, oversized comes out the end. So the smaller material, as it falls through the drum, it falls down, falls into a collection hopper that sits above the discharge conveyor. You've got the discharge conveyor here that goes all the way up the bottom of the machine and discharges out the top. As I say, it can either go straight onto the floor, straight into a bunker, straight into a mini screen, straight into a load and shovel bucket, whatever you need. This machine will lift itself up and down to suit whatever application you're trying to discharge into. Maintenance on these machines is a little bit more than a deck screen. We've got a few more different moving components. We've got drum wheels, we've got more components on the conveyors, we've got more components on the infeed. So yes, there is a little bit more maintenance on these, but apart from greasing and checking belt tensions, there's not really a lot else, to be honest, on these machines that needs to be done. We obviously build these machines ourselves here. Everything here is built in-house. The only things that we really buy in is the motors and gearboxes, and the belts and the bearings. Everything else is fabricated here in-house. So if ever there was a problem in the future, you could come back to us for spare parts, and we do everything in-house that you need. Obviously, this is our 2014 MT model, but we, as I've said before, we do lots of different trommels. We do static trommels, we do mobile trommels, we do big trommels, we do little trommels, and anything in between. So if you need a trommel for a specific application, talk to us, because we've probably done it before. We can probably advise what you need, whether it's going to be punch plates, woven wire, whether the diameter is going to be anything from 1200 to 2 meters, anything in length from 1500 to say 6 meters, anything you need trommel wise, in feed, standalone, over a bunker, sitting on con blocks, anything you want. We've probably already done it and could probably show you what we've done. Get in contact with us and we can give you a quote to suit your needs. Okay, so we've talked about our Raptor trommels in this video. We are a British family engineering business. We've been in business for nearly 20 years. If you're interested in any of our machines, any of our trommels, any of our deck screens, call the office in the number down below and speak to Andrea or Lauren, and they will quote you happy.